Colleges and universities in the United States and many other first world countries are facing an enrollment cliff as demographic and societal factors lead to reduced enrollments. Here in the United States, several sources estimate that starting in 2025, the number of college-age students is expected to drop by 15% over 4 years. In addition, increasing numbers of potential students are questioning the value of a bachelor's degree, particularly in the face of the rising cost of attending college. Those colleges and universities that are unable to trim their budgets accordingly likely will end up closing their doors. For the past several decades, higher education has experienced significant increases in administrative spending, and administrative spending is projected to grow by at least 7% over the next 10 years. Spending on administration and student services grew more than instructional spending from 2010 to 2018. During that period, spending on student services rose 29%, and administrative costs increased 19%, while instructional spending only rose 17% by comparison. Along with increased spending for administration and student services, the number of employees in these areas also increased. Between 1976 and 2018, the number of full-time faculty employed at colleges and universities in the United States increased by 92%, while total student enrollment increased by 78%. During this same period, however, full-time administrators and other professionals increased by 164% and 452% respectively. There is little evidence that this dramatic expansion in staffing for administrative and student services has improved students' academic experience. In fact, some have argued that the explosion in non-faculty positions has made it harder for faculty to educate students, in part because many of these administrators have to justify their existence by creating more regulations and procedures. Recently, the Progressive Policy Institute reviewed faculty versus non-faculty positions at the top 50 universities in the United States. On average, the top 50 universities in the United States have only one faculty member per 11 students. By contrast, these same institutions have one non-faculty employee per 4 students. There now are 3 times as many non-faculty as there are faculty per student at the best universities in the United States. This chart from the Progressive Policy Institute shows ratios of students to faculty and the ratio of students to non-faculty employees at the 7 top-ranked private universities in the United States. Except for Johns Hopkins, all 7 institutions have reasonably low student-to-faculty ratios, typically less than about 10 students per faculty member. But the student-to-non-faculty employee ratios are significantly lower. Certainly, it takes a wide range of staff and administrators to keep a college or university running, but this ratio points to a high degree of inefficiency in the operations of these top-tier universities. This chart shows similar numbers for 4 University of California campuses. The student-to-faculty ratios at these campuses are still comfortably low, averaging around 15:1, but at these public institutions, the student-to-staff ratios are significantly higher than at the top-tier private institutions, suggesting that these institutions are being run much more efficiently than the top-tier private institutions. When I first joined the physics faculty at California State University, Fullerton in 1970, we had approximately 15,000 students on campus, and our central administration included 2 vice presidents, a vice president for academic affairs and a vice president for administration. There were no assistant or associate vice presidents. The remainder of the administrative functions were carried out by deans and directors with relatively small support and clerical staffs. Today, the university has approximately 38,000 students, and the central administration has grown to include 6 vice presidents, 10 associate vice presidents, and 7 assistant vice presidents. With 2.5 times more students, one would expect some growth in the central administration, both because of the growth in the number of students and also because of new functions and requirements that didn't exist in the early 70s. For example, in 1970, the campus had a small mainframe computer that was used exclusively for administrative functions. Now computers are everywhere on campus, and we have an information technology division that didn't exist in the early 70s. Likewise, reporting requirements have been imposed on the campus by outside governmental agencies. And in addition, some student service functions, such as advising, that was done exclusively by academic departments in the 70s, now have been centralized. With that in mind, the increase from 2 vice presidents to 6 certainly is within reason. However, the growth from 0 associate and assistant vice presidents to 17 of these positions is a measure of administrative bloat. Administrative functions that once were carried out efficiently by a dean or director with 1 or 2 clerical assistants now are carried out by associate and assistant vice presidents with a full retinue of staff. My experience as a faculty member, department chair, and occasional acting administrator tells me that we can reduce administrative bloat at our universities and colleges by some simple common sense actions. First, we need to eliminate title creep. People whose titles include the words vice president seem to feel that they need to oversee administrative empires. Next, return the academic advisement component of student service to the academic departments. They are better equipped to give accurate advising to their students. Then replace the associate and assistant vice president titles with the titles executive director and director. Limit their staff support accordingly. Then make the conscious decision that the primary mission of any university or college is teaching, along with scholarship and creativity by faculty and students. With that in mind, tie administrative salaries to academic salaries. Recognize that over the years, administrative bloat has been a significant contributor to rising tuition rates. With that in mind, accept the fact that over the next decade or so, university and college enrollments will decline. To cope with the impending decline in students, the number of both administrative and academic positions will need to shrink. This can be done least painfully by gradual attrition and reassignment. Thanks for watching. I suspect that you may have your own opinions about the best way to reduce administrative bloat in academia. Share your comments in the comments section of the video, and I will respond as best I can. Thanks again for watching.